Hey guys, this is Marc Owings, and I'm your host for the Unbridled Life podcast, where we have real, raw, and unreligious conversation to encourage and challenge men and women in their daily lives. Welcome to the Unbridled Life podcast, where we always keep it raw, real, and authentic. Listen, we're on part 2 on what I'm talking about is probably one of the most necessary things to talk about. It's the way that we worship. It's the way that we give, the way that we do things. Mm-hmm. And I've got my good friend, Ben Massey, on. We're going to be interviewing him. You got to see Saul, David. I'm getting that down better every day, just man. But we're going to be interviewing Ben Massey, and who's now the founder of WayMakers. And it's incredible. Right. I've known Ben and his family. I love his kids. Tell us real quick a little bit about your family.
So, been married for 20 years.
Come on. To
my lovely wife, Rita. And we've got 2 kids, Isaac, who's 18, Isabella, who is almost 15. I have to say that, or she'll be upset about it. And they're fantastic. They're easy kids, if I can say it that way.
They are easy
kids. They love Jesus and love people. And they impress me on a regular basis. Absolutely. I've watched Isaac just in what he's done recently. I'll watch him give as he's seen us give. He has adopted that life of generosity, and I watch him buy things for police officers and firefighters just because he wants to bless them, which is amazing. I watch my daughter bless people with words because she wants to encourage, and just they give the same way.
A little prophet girl.
Absolutely. She walks in it for sure.
And I've gotten to be a part of your kids' life. Matter of fact, your wife, Rita, was on our very first Women's Fully Alive.
Yep.
And she helped staff that with us and was an incredible blessing to us, and just giving her time and talents and touch away to the people who were there. I know you so well. I've gotten to be a part of your life. One of the things I want to say about Ben is he owned a business, and I'll read his bio for you. But I watched him go through 40 months of he got a word from the Lord, and he believed it. I'm not sure I believed it. I'm a very empathetic guy. And I couldn't stand watching him in pain, but you suffered well, if I can say that right, for 40 months. And then God did what he said he was going to do in your business, which at the time was Covenant Crafter. You started that in 2003. You and your wife, she handled the finances, and
yes.
It was a woodworking cabinetry. Started out in your garage, if I remember right. And so sales just started going all the way that it went up to $2.5 million in revenue and occupying a 20,000 square foot facility.
Yeah.
A difficult decision for you leaving the business, but you sold the business and started a organization, a 501c3 called WayMakers.
Yeah.
So tell us, what in the world? Hey, this is when you're supposed to get your cash and roll out into the sunset and take it easy, right?
Not at all.
But you didn't do that.
No, because that's not fun and not what we're called to do. So, WayMakers actually I would say the seed was planted back in that 40-month desert. It was just that. It was dry emotionally. It was dry financially. We were on food stamps, foreclosure notices. Our lights were getting turned off. It was awful. And there was a point in that season where Dad told us that when we leave the desert, we're never going back to the desert. This is a one-time thing. And it completely shifted our perspective on what was going on, what he was doing. And now my ask was, don't stop until I've gotten everything that you have for me. I want it all.
Don't hurry through the process. You wanted to be
I'm
done.
Here. Now it was a count it all joy moment for us. And so it was constantly asking, what are you trying to show me? What do you want us to learn in this? It's painful, it's hard, and we're going to rejoice in it. And so in that, people would help, people would sow into us, and he made promises for that whole season. We got that word about the desert about 1.5 years in. So we had about 2 years to go, and we're still asking, and he's still promising. And we had no idea that on the backside of that, the amazing things that he was about to do.
So this is all when you're owning the business.
That's all in the business. That's all in the business season of us feeling like we're alone and abandoned, and that he's forgotten us in this season. And yet he showed up and revealed to us that he hadn't forgot us, that he has seen us all along. And so fast forward to when it's time to sell, he said, hey, real short version of that, he made a lot of promises, and in that season of what the business would do. And in September of 2021, everything he promised was fulfilled. There was nothing else on the list that I asked for that was left to be done. And I looked around a little bit sad, like, now what? And he said, you dreamed too small. Wow. And that next month, he said, let's sell it, and we're going to do something else. And so that's what we did. We just followed him and sold the business. And as we stepped into a season of rest that he called us to after the sale of
How long did you rest?
We rested for a little over 12 months. Took a year off and sought him and prayed. And that was not easy even a little bit. That was probably an extremely difficult time for me because I'm not used to sitting still. And so we learned to rest and what that word meant. And in that time, I met people all along the way. People would call, hey, let's have lunch. Let's have coffee. I didn't say no. In fact, I told Dad, I won't say no to an opportunity to meet somebody you want me to meet. And so I walked through every door he had for us to walk through, and people needed stuff. People were hurting in their business or their ministry or their marriage, the same way we were in our desert. And I want to make a way. How can I help you? And Dad would highlight points. Hey, let's go help that. Let's take care of that. Hey, call that guy. We're going to take care of that situation. And that's what we did for the course of that year. And then a few months later, or about halfway through that year, he said, let's make this official. He gave us the name WayMakers and opened it up so more people can be helped in the process.
Yeah, before WayMakers were ever a part of your life, I've watched you live. I watched you live through the food stamps. Air conditioners going off. During that time, I went to the Lord, and I was just hurting for you. And it was the Lord, I want you to hire him. I was like, okay, what's his job description? He said he will not like this, but I want you to add him to staff, and I want you to tell him he has no job description. He just gets to be. And I was like, okay, great. I go tell Ben, and it was not the response that I expected. God was right. You didn't like it. Mm-hmm. You were frustrated. I think you stomped out of my office. And so there was a prickly moment, but I can see the moments and times God was getting you to trust him. And it was such a privilege. And then I was a part of watching you be blessed in the business. And shockingly, I remember you came into our office and slid $60,000 across. And I was just like, this is crazy, Lord, what you're doing. And you sowed those into marriages, into freedom, into helping people and drilling water wells. So I've watched you live this lifestyle, watched your kids do that with their time, talent, treasures, words, and touch. I love your kids. But Waymaker was in your heart way before. It was. It was a 501c3. So why Waymakers?
We want to make a way for people. I want people to see and experience Elroy for themselves, the God who sees and makes a way. The vision that I get with this is Moses when he gets to the Red Sea and the children of Israel behind him, and they feel like all hope is lost. They're about to die. We got a sea in front of us. We got the army of Egypt behind us, and what are we going to do? And Moses isn't worried. He knows, he has faith that Dad's going to show up and he's going to make a way. He didn't know what was going to happen. He just knew that Dad would show up, and he did. And for us, it's that. We haven't lost faith that Dad will show up no matter what happens. He's going to do what he said he would do. It may not look like I want it to look. And so if I take him out of the box and just say yes, then it doesn't matter what happens. I get to see him show up. And when he gives gifts, they're always good. And we've watched him do that our entire life. So it's easy to just give that back to other people. I want them to experience it. I want everybody to recognize that Dad sees them. He hasn't forgot about them, even when it feels hopeless, even when they don't know what it looks like or they think they know how to fix it. He's going to fix it different, and it's going to be great.
For sure.
That's what it means for us.
You know, one of the things that when I first, Ben was sharing his heart about what this is, and I was like, man, you got to be careful how you say that, because it sounds like you're just running around giving out money. You know, and
he was.
Yeah.
But, you know, I really want to highlight how his discernment and what I've seen in the time that I've spent with Ben. I've seen him step up and with nothing more than an unction from God, write checks for things like prison ministries. Mm-hmm. And he supported our organization, and he's helped families, just independent families. And then I know that there was I've seen business opportunities be put in front of him, and how he calls it WayMakers. And one of the testimonies that a business colleague shared with me was that Ben confirmed to him that God was doing something in his life like a purging, and that if Ben were to get involved and to almost bail him out of the situation, that he would be hindering what God's trying to do. And so that was one of the biggest things that I saw from Ben. It wasn't that it was this naive free-for-all Jeff Bezos, we're just throwing money at everything. Him and Rita really have discernment about where they put it, why they put it, and because I've seen it so dramatic on both sides, it's really amazing to sit back and watch how when he says, like, he just wants to see how God's going to do it. Like, it's not what I have seen, at least from my perspective, is not them trying to fix problems. It is generally just trying to line up with whatever God is doing and to be a part of it. So you guys are
that
doing
one
an
was
awesome
one of
job.
my favorites. That guy and that story, because I went into that knowing that the idea Saul connected me and this guy together, and going in thinking that I'm supposed to go help him with the business, and I have no idea about this industry. This is not an area of expertise for me at all. And I'm on the way to his office, and I'm praying, Dad, what am I supposed to do? What am I bringing to this situation? This is not an area that I know anything about. And he says, you're bringing faith into a situation that needs faith. You're bringing me into the room, and that's all you're doing. And then it was easy. Oh, I can do that all day long. I'll bring faith to any situation because I know for a fact that you're going to show up. So how can I help them with it? And so it was an hour and a half, and we're crying and praying, and they're thinking this is a business thing. They're bringing P&Ls and all the numbers of stuff. And at the end, he's like, man, this is the best non-business meeting I've ever had. I had no
We're doing
idea
business God's way.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure.
It was phenomenal. I loved it. We communicate now on a regular basis and check on him and how things are doing. And the business shifted from what he thought God was going to do, and now it's better than what he thought was going to happen because it didn't show up like he thought it was going to show up. And that was the thing. Man, I could come in here and write you a check, but I don't think that's what Dad's telling me to do. And I don't want to do that. I don't want to rob what he's doing in your life.
God. And again, waymakers, sometimes saying no is a waymaker for someone else.
Yes.
Because as God showed you, be still and wait on me. And he showed all of us. There's no way that you become a follower of Jesus that he doesn't teach you that lesson,
right.
That leadership lesson. But I've watched one of the greatest strengths that I can say that I've watched you move and operate with integrity. I've watched you parent your kids, which is big for me. Hey, you can be the greatest leader and even a servant leader, but if your wife isn't in the glory and your kids in glory, then I can tell you, you're not in alignment with what's going on. So not that we all don't have issues in our marriage. We're married and we're men. Most of the time the issue is with us, and they'd all say amen to that. But your biggest strength is faith. Ben, I know where it comes from. How do you keep stoking that faith? Because when I hear you say dream bigger, I'm thinking, oh my gosh, this is the guy that dreams outside the box every time. Where do you think that faith, where you really received it, where it really stuck in your life, and how do you keep fanning that into flames?
Ooh, that's good. I've watched him show up so many times that to deny it now would be pure disobedience. Amen. It would be rebellion at its core. There's no way that I could hear him say something and at all doubt that it's going to happen. I have to take my timetable off of it and just say, whenever you want, however you want, I'm good with it. And I don't doubt. I'm not going to not believe him. Dad's been too faithful. For the 20 years of our business, I've got story after story. We could spend hours, we could spend days of telling you how he showed up and just testifying of the goodness of what he's done. And that's just in the business, let alone outside the business and the people in the business. And now the people that we're meeting outside just in this season of rest and now in WayMakers, of watching him move, how could I ever not have faith? It's almost easy at this point to believe. And there are people that do struggle to believe, and so I come alongside and I want to help you. I'll believe for you when you can't believe.
100%. You're great at that. I'm curious, what are some of the favorite testimonies that you have personally?
Yeah. I've got a lot. So the one that Saul mentioned, definitely, I love that because that wasn't a money-driven thing. But so we've got a guy that we met through church, has a heart to worship, and he is anointed in a way that very few I've met are. He doesn't just worship. He ushers in the Spirit of God in a way that just brings peace to a room and floors me every time. And so we got connected with him, and he wanted to do something else beyond what he was doing. He wanted to maybe cut an album or do something. He wasn't really sure. Yeah. He was dreaming bigger and just asking Dad, what's next? And so as we're just walking alongside, having lunch, just talking, having time, And I'm praying, Dad, what am I supposed to do with this? And real clear, Dad said, hey, I want you to pay for whatever it is he needs to do in this. I said, well, what is it? He's like, he'll let you know. And so I'm just sitting on this thing of he's going to call, or we're going to meet, someone's going to come up and we're going to pay. And I'm assuming it's studio time. I'm not a music guy, so I don't really know what goes into that. And so it was about 2 days later that he calls me and says, hey, man, God's been working on my heart. I want to share with you this dream that we have. And he shares this dream about a songwriter's retreat where he pulls in people that have a heart to worship. Specifically, what God showed him was when David sung over Saul and the demons left. And Dad said, where are my worshipers? Where are the ones that worship me like this? That's the call. And his heart was moved, and he's like, man, I want to do that. And so he's put this songwriter retreat together of people that have a heart to worship that same way. He has no idea how to pay for it. And he said, man, I'm just telling you, this is my idea. This is what I feel like God's calling me to do. He couldn't stand there on the phone. I'm chuckling and just smiling like, man, this is great. So he finishes, and I said, man, Nate, it's paid for. Whatever you want to do, rent a house. If you need to get a studio, you need to get whatever you're going to get, it's paid for. Dad told me days ago to pay for whatever it is that's the dream on your heart.
Wow.
And not only pay for this, but it's an open check to, we're going to keep paying until Dad says to stop paying. So go chase him, go walk in the dream that he has for you. And it's amazing getting to watch. He's got the next one coming up in a couple weeks. We're going to get to go and just kind of see what they do. And they worship Dad in a very pure way, and they record it. And whatever comes out of it, comes out of it. Not doing it to write a best hit, they're doing it to worship him.
That's cool.
I love it. And the kid had no idea what was coming.
Had no idea.
And he's having his second one?
He's having his second one coming up in 2 weeks.
Dreamers affect dreamers, and it ignites. And I think you carried that in. I love what you said about this young man. I think we've missed, I've been in the book of 1 Samuel, and we're actually watching through Netflix about King David.
Yeah,
it's really cool.
Just got through watching that.
Yeah, like I OD'd on it in one night, just like anything to do with that, and the fear of the Lord just in a healthy way coming back to me from when I was first saved. But I was noticing when Samuel, and what an incredible prophet, people feared and trembled. But when Samuel said the Lord has removed his spirit from you, removed his presence, and how tormented he was. And it was because of disobedience. And one of the things I know about you is you're very obedient, but I love this young man already, Nate, whoever is that. Where are the worshipers that drive away the darkness and the lives of the enemy? Because we're in a new covenant. I looked at my wife in bed and said, thank God we don't live in the Old Testament. Those are hard days, but the Spirit of God comes in us and never leaves or departs from us. So I'm just curious, what are you currently involved in? What are you working on right now? And what's some of the passion that you want to see?
I'm glad you asked that.
Come on.
So just recently, I've been asked to be on a school board for a small private Christian school in Waxahachie called Waxahachie Prep. This is a school that does things different than I've ever been a part of or ever seen, because it's not a typical, we just care about the academics. Well, they do. It's a college prep school, so the academics they're getting ready for college. So it's not a typical school, but they care about the heart. This is a school that wants to minister and tend to the heart of the kids, so that when you leave this school, you're prepared for a world that's lost and dying and needs Jesus. And so that's first and foremost, is we're going to tend to the kids' hearts. And when there's issues or disagreements, we're going to come in, hey, how's your heart? What's going on? That floored me. When we first met them and found out this is how they do school, it was such just a relief to see, wow, you're doing it right. And so as we've gotten involved with this school and on this school board, they now have a capital campaign coming up that's going to launch here real soon to make a forever home. They're going to buy land and build a building, and I'm coming alongside to do anything I can do. How can I help? Anything I have is yours. Any connections of connections, whatever I can do to help in this process, I'm going to do. And so I'm reaching out to people and reaching out now. If there are grandparents that say, man, I want to sow into education to a school that actually has a heart to do it right, then that's my ask. If you've got land, if you've got money, if you say, man, we need to get rid of something for a tax write-off, I'll take any and all of it. Because this is a place that's doing it right, and it's not going to be a wasted seed. It's going to be a seed that's going to absolutely reap a harvest and benefit not just you, but generations to come. And that's the thing for us is I'm happy to sow into a single person, but I know that there's going to be a ripple effect of generational blessing that's going to reap a harvest, and it's amazing to sit and watch it. That's the biggest one we're doing now.
Is that what we were talking about the other day?
Yes, that's exactly it. Yeah,
I feel a lot better.
Yeah, that's what we're talking about.
It's so great because I think there are a lot of grandparents like, what can we do
Yes.
now?
Yeah.
And people may even, I love what Saul said on this, maybe a pastor did something wrong or said it in a different way that was an agenda. But I think we've got 3 organizations sitting here, and we're talking about giving. And a lot of times we'll protect our donor base.
Right.
And that's a bad move. And there are times to protect your donor base from the wolves, no doubt about it. But what I wanted to say to people, if you're a grandparent and you're sitting there and you go like, why would I give to a Christian school in another area? God does not see geography in the way that we do. God cares about Malaysia and Fort Worth at the same time. God cares about a Christian school. And what I want to say to you, maybe your kids went to a Christian school and you were disappointed in that. Well, let's take the disappointment, take that DIS off, and let's give an appointed gift so that kids can be sent. My daughter actually went to a Christian school that was discipled in apologetics, what she believed. She was ready to go to Texas A&M to win people to Christ and to live her life and shine. And I think we don't need less Christian schools. We need more.
Amen.
And so when I hear this, I go, hey, we want to sow into that as well. And so we'll make a gift into that, Ben. But we also want to encourage people that are listening. I think we got to get out of our own mindset of, man, I'm listening. I'm in Florida. What would that do for me? It will cause you to live the generous life, the blessed life in such a miraculous way, because when kids are involved, it's our chance to shape, share, and disciple them in the ways of God. And what a better way than a Christian school that's focused not just on the head. And you said it. We can't live in the head. Listen, the heart was always designed to trump the head.
Yeah.
It was always designed. Your heart is supposed to dream. Your heart's supposed to be alive. There's spiritual heart attacks that happen. We stop dreaming. We stop hoping. We stop believing. That's a spiritual heart attack. Some of the ways that we step out of that is begin to give to others who could never repay us.
Yeah, and one of the things too, when you start to really lean into this as a lifestyle, you'll notice that God will start. It's like an attractor factor. Like you just
like
it's
it.
something about that. And so the reason I asked Ben is like, is that what we were talking about? Because he called me and he says, hey, there's a thing that I'm doing. It's for a benefit. If you can help out, I any support you can give. He didn't give me like a 45-minute synopsis of what it was. I just know Ben's heart. And so I know if he's sewing into it, it's good. I'm like, hey, man, I got a bunch of Tim Tebow memorabilia. He signed a bunch of stuff when he came to our thing. Like,
it's awesome.
I'll donate that. I was like, I got another friend, the guy that has the hookup at the stadium. I was like, let me call him. And that network you're talking about, because the trust that the ground is good where he's going is already there because I know his heart. And what happens is, you were talking about the donor base, right? Like, you don't have to protect your donor base. What happens is when you start doing life with people that are givers, you no longer have a donor base. You have a community with the same heartbeat. And so it becomes, how can I support you? How can you support me? And we all understand that, like, God is not going to run out of resource. And so when you know you're connected to a God who has unlimited resource, and you're doing life with people that are being obedient to what God says. So I know if Ben is putting his seed in the ground over there, like, yeah, that's good stuff.
Come on.
And I feel like he reciprocates that to me. Hey, Ben, this is what we're doing. We're pouring into pastors. Yes, me and Rita want to help. Just being here, like, when you have that, your world doesn't get smaller when you give, it gets bigger.
Yeah. And that's the kingdom mindset. We can't have a mindset of, I can't give over here because I don't know about them, or what about me, or my donor base, because it's not ours. It's all his. And if our mindset is so small that we have to protect our own or protect my money just for this city, then we're not walking in a kingdom mindset. We're walking in our own small K kingdom mindset of building our own empire. And that's not the way that God's called us to live. It's not how we live. Everything so far that has happened in WayMakers has been funded by Rita and I, and it's been what Dad has given us.
Not for long, brother.
Not for long. And it is to grow it more. And you had mentioned earlier about seed and eating your seed. Something he had taught us a long time ago is about to not sow our bread and not eat our seed. We'll live on the bread that he gives us, and we'll sow the seed that he's called us to sow. We have given away our life savings on 3 different occasions because he's told us to sow it and give it. Because nothing we have is ours. I don't care where it needs to go. If Dad says give it, we're going to give it. Because I know that he has more and he'll take care of us. He has always taken care of us. We had nothing in 40 months and he took care of us. I don't have to make it work. I just have to trust that he'll make a way.
Boy, that's a big word, and I love the trust factor.
You get me fired up over here just listening.
I'm telling you, I'm like, okay, I came in kind of heavy today, and now I'm leaving a little lighter because of Ben. But I was thinking about what the president's doing right now, Trump, and I'm not embarrassed to say Trump. I like him. Reciprocal tariffs, and because there's something in that beyond what I can understand. But in the kingdom of God, there's reciprocal blessings that I was sitting here thinking, Lord, what are you connecting together? And there's just going to be this reciprocalness that goes on, a multiplying factor. If the world in business, and you don't know anything about, I've been impacted in my small business about those tariffs, but I think instead of a tariff on something, there's a call. And to come do that, and that call will lead you to a test, and that test will lead you to trust God so that you can fully mature. So tell me this, how do people get involved with WayMakers?
So just reaching out. They can email, they can call. It's on our website, waymakersgive.org, because WayMakers give.
So
WayMakers
do we have that
hold back.
WayMakers on the website just so I could throw that up there? That's awesome.
Absolutely. Just reaching out and saying, man, I've got something I want to sow. It doesn't have to be treasure. It could be, man, I've got time. I own a plumbing company, and I'll donate an hour to a single mom that needs plumbing work.
Come on.
I'm a banker, and I want to help businesses get loans. I'll make sure they get pushed through. Whatever it is, we have that now. We have a network of people. I've got business owners that want to coach people starting in business. I have a great friend. He's a third-generation roofer. He's a fantastic, just amazing businessman, but loves Jesus. And he says, man, I want to help coach people. So if you got people that want to start a business and in roofing, man, let me know, and I'll walk alongside and counsel and advise them in starting a business, because it's not competition. They're not worried about no, the kingdom is big enough. God's big enough to make sure all of us have what we need. And so connecting with people that have that heart, they reach out and we put them together in a network. So when somebody calls, we know how to connect them. I had a guy call me because he's looking for a job. I hadn't talked to the guy in 10 years. It was a business connection. Looking for a job to be another superintendent, a GC for a company. He didn't know I'd sold the business and said, man, I've got nothing for you today, but let me see what I can do. The very next day, a guy saw me actually at this school and said, hey, I'm looking to hire somebody for my construction company. Any chance you know anybody? I was like, I absolutely do. I have an amazing guy. Great integrity, great skill, great quality. Got him connected. They interviewed. He hired him, loved him. They're doing fantastic. It's that kind of thing. Just let me know what you need, what you're looking for, or what thing you can fill, and we'll find a way to connect them.
I love it. I think you have an incredible ability and discernment, as Saul was talking about, just to vet and find and connect things that are happening in the kingdom. And they're all over the place. And I've watched you and Rita live that life at home with your kids and find those places. And I've watched you you've helped so many people. Freedom Ministry, we're talking about doing a Fully Alive. Your answer is always to give. And so this is a call out to you. If you follow elevateHim, you've got all the permission in the world. I was sitting here thinking of a businessman that I know in his 70s, and he's a coach, and he is full of counsel and wisdom. Very successful businessman, never sowed in our ministry, but he just called me to go speak to a group of businessmen out in Gainesville Saturday. And I want to get you connected with that. But I think if we start looking, our ministry, elevateHim, is about elevating him, promote, encourage, and connect. This is a great way to connect and to start praying. And maybe you can't give a resource, or maybe you can't do anything, but maybe you're supposed to be the intercessory team that starts for Ben. Maybe you're supposed to start that for Saul, that you don't just listen to this, you actually put a sticky note and put on there the Tie of Life, the WayMakers, and say, I'm going to pray for these men. How many men have you met that says, hey, my joy, my call, my purpose in life is to go raise money for the kingdom of God and take none? They're not charging. They're not doing anything. They're trusting God, and that's a currency that always gives back. I want to give you the last words.
Well, that's great. Don't hold it to yourself. That's my biggest thing to people is don't feel like you have to hold tight. Trust Dad in what he's doing, because he sees you and he hasn't forgotten you. He hasn't overlooked your situation. He hasn't brought you this far to kill you. If you're trying to start a business, you're trying to step out into a dream, you're trying to do the thing you feel like that he's called you to do, then reach out and ask for help. You have not because you ask not. If you'll reach out to somebody in your network of people who may know somebody else in their network of people, he will absolutely make a way. That's his promise. That's who he is. He is the waymaker. We just get to partner with him. So my promise to you is if you will reach out and have faith, he will absolutely show up and he will do what he has promised to do because he loves you. And that's because he's a good dad and he gives good gifts to his kids.
Come on. I love it. Ben, will you just pray over people?
Yeah. Dad, we love you. We thank you so much that you choose us every day, that no matter what we do, you still smile upon us and you rejoice over us with singing. According to your word in Zephaniah, you rejoice over your kids. And I just pray blessing over everyone that hears this today, that they would look to you and trust and have faith that you haven't forgotten them, that you haven't overlooked them, that you are a good dad and you give good gifts to your kids. I bless them today. Everywhere they go, the ones they talk to, I pray that they would dream bigger dreams because you are a big God and nothing is outside of your reach. Dad, we love you. We thank you. In Jesus' name, amen.
Boom. Hey, you heard it on the Unbridled Life. Come join us. Be sure to rate, share, review on YouTube, on wherever you listen to podcasts. Share this with other businessmen and other people, both of them, part 1 and part 2 on generous giving, the Tithe Life, and the WayMakers. And we want to be a part of both of those. So thanks for joining us today and listen to this.
Thanks so much for listening to the Unbridled Life podcast. We know your time is valuable, and we hope we bring real and relevant content that helps you live that unbridled life. If you want to help us spread the message, you can rate or review the podcast on whatever platform you like to listen to us and share it with a friend or two. If you want to know more about who we are and what we're doing, head on over to theunbridledlifepodcast.com and learn more.